Welcome back, everybody. Captain Gonzo with that Flight Sim channel. It is a beautiful, cold and frosty morning here in Chicago Midway. You can see beautiful scenery here. Now let's take a look at what we've got today. The CJ4. This is one that we've neglected so far, even in Flight Simulator 2020. I don't know why, but besides the challenges, I rarely, if ever, hopped on this beautiful airplane. One of the most common jets you'll see on the ramp today. The CJ family in general is very, very famous in the general aviation world, especially for fleets and private owners. Especially here with the CJ4, it is a very capable aircraft, and please excuse the flickering livery. I promise you, this is not my fault or anything that I did, at least I think. This is just a glitch happening with the CJ4 and all its liveries. But anyways, let me go ahead and pause here. All right, just trying to get rid of those stutters. Let's go ahead and remove pitot covers. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, guys, because this is honestly pretty irritating. It's bugs like these and other issues that really just kill the immersion for Flight Sim. And as you can see, the stutters are horrible once I get closer to the airframe here. Anyways, guys, this scenery here is by Drzeski. I always butcher that name. I will never learn how to say it properly, so I apologize. But they make amazing killer sceneries for Flight Sim, including their own static models. And as you guys know, you'll always see us at Signature. All right, guys, well, I'm going to call that a good pre-walk or a pre-flight inspection on the walk around. My co-pilot decided that he wanted to just sit in the nice warm cockpit while I freeze my ass off. So you know what? Let's go jump in there and kick his ass. All right, let's just hop in. I'm not even going to open the door. This stuttering thing is really irritating me. All right, well, as you'll notice, the live weather updated all of a sudden, and now we've got a dark and gloomy morning here. Looks like we've got some police escorts here for some VIP families. We're going to leave them alone, and we're going to focus on the startup. Okay, guys, so on the CJ4, it is very easy. Let's go ahead and find our aircraft. Let's go to checklist, and I'm just going to show you the before starting checklist, or the before starting engine checklist. So the parking brake is set. You'll find your parking brake down here. I apologize, it is a little bit dark here. Power levers, just go ahead and give them a quick bump. Make sure they're idle. Nothing to it, nothing serious. Generator switches, we will check them out. And they are found down here in the bottom left console. We'll go ahead and make sure that they are up in the on, so you can see they're off there, on towards the top. We'll go ahead and turn that battery switch, the red one sticking out, the red rocket. Heyo. And then we'll set our avionics master switch to dispatch. Now, what dispatch does, it enables us to monitor our engine as we start up, our engines. You can see your flight control surfaces there. And you also get your FMC up on the pilot side. So that's all said and done. Let me verify that it's all good. And for starting engine, here's the checklist. So you guys can read this. I'm going to just say it audibly, and then we're going to do it together. Pretty straightforward. Right engine starter button. We're going to push it. That is found down here, just behind your throttle handles or your throttle levers. Right here. There's your right. There's your left. You're going to push that. We're going to monitor our EIS here, engine indicating system. We're going to watch for about 20% on N2. And then we will flip these plastic covers here on top of the start and stop. And then we're going to click to set it to run. And that's it. So we'll just complete this now. Then it wants us to monitor ITT and N1 and repeat the same process for left engine. So here we go, guys. You can see ECAS here, which is also your caution advisory system, letting us know the emergency lights are not armed. The pitot static system is cold for the left and right. They are on standby. And the parking brake is set. So let's arm the emergency lights right here. Let's go ahead and throw our beacon light, as we call it. The beacon light is here as part of your exterior lighting. There it goes. Let's make sure we get our safety and seatbelt signs on. All right, let's take a look outside. Left is clear. Right is clear. Let's start engine number 2. Waiting for N2 to hit 20%. There's the ignition. 20%. Open that cover. Press run. Flip the cover. And you'll see that your CAS is showing the fuel boost is on for the right. It is completely automatic or autonomous. N1 is slowly increasing. We can see that our oil temperature is also increasing. You can see your fuel flow here, pounds per hour. And your total fuel, which we will be changing once we get both engines online. Now you can see the ignition has extinguished. You can see the right fuel boost pump is now off or auto. And we'll repeat the exact same process for the left engine. So here we go. Left engine start. Let's go ahead and flip that cover now. Ignition. N1's alive. Oil temperature on the left engine is slowly but surely climbing. Wow, I went way past 20. I got distracted there. All right, let's go ahead and turn them on. And sorry, by the way, that was my mistake. I said the oil temperature on the left, but you can see oil temperature is displayed on the right for the left and right engine, and your PSI or your pressure for your left and right, respectively. Okay, those are 2 good engines. Let's flip that cover. It's a little tricky. There we go. Okay, now that that is done, let's call up that checklist, and that'll be the last checklist we use because there's nothing else. Now we'll go back down here to our avionics. We'll set it to on. You can see your PFD comes alive, everything else comes alive, and one more thing. Don't forget your standby flight display to on. That's going to turn on your backup attitude indicator. Lights, we'll turn them on as needed. Parking brake release, not yet. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get some lights on. So the first thing we'll want to do is go ahead and turn on our nav light. Let's see if we can get some light in here. There we go, much better. So right here is your rotary knob that you can use for the illumination. And then these 2 knobs control your MFD and PFD on the left, and the same thing for the right, PFD and MFD. So you can see I can reduce the MFD screen there, and I can reduce it. So let's go ahead and dim up a bit. It's a little bit dark here. All right, well, we're on the ground. Let's go ahead and get our pitot heats on. Temperature outside is a chilly -3 degrees Celsius, so pretty cold. We'll go ahead and get our tail de-ice and engine and wing anti-ice on for now. And guys, now we go for the fun part, the FMC. Now take a look, guys. If you were following along with our King Air tutorial series, then you'll know or recognize that this is very similar, right? While most airplanes on Flight Sim are operating on the Garmin 1000 suite, this is the Rockwell Collins package, and you can see that FMC is pretty identical. Actually, it was a copy and paste, so they used the CJ4 FMC and they spit it into the King Air C90, and you'll notice that the speeds and all that on the C90 are literally what we see here. So let's go ahead and get started with the flight plan initialization. So I'm gonna pause track IR here, and the beauty of it is that we've got 2, so we can do things simultaneously. Let's go to position init. Get our position. There we go. You just press that button. All these keys are inactive, so don't worry about those. We'll go to flight plan. We'll be departing Chicago Midway. That is Kilo Mike Delta Whiskey. We're heading to Boston. Kilo Bravo Oscar Sierra. And our alternate, well, let's go check our SimBrief flight plan. Our alternate today is KMHT. KMHT, I can't remember what airport that is, but we'll figure it out. Now that that's all said and done, we can go ahead and press execute. And let's go look at our route. Whoa. I guess the lights auto dim because the sun's kind of climbing. Let's keep it there. All right, there we go. So now let's look at our route here on the dispatch for sim brief. So we're expecting runway 31 center, direct to Luke, then direct to GIJ, Evo, Nels, Kehoe, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll be expecting 15 right at Boston. So first things first, let's go to departure and arrival. Look for 31 center. So use your next and previous page to cycle. 31 center, and we're not using a specific SID. We're just going direct Luke. So we'll press execute. Let's look at the legs and see if this lets us input it. It's been a little finicky lately, guys, so I'm a little nervous right now. I don't know if this will work. Hey, wow, it worked. I can't believe it. All right, so you can do it here on your legs, or you can go to your flight plan and go to the route page here. So you can see the first waypoint, direct Luke. Press next. After Luke, we're going to GIJ. Then eVote. Then Nels. And remember, DCT, direct to. Then Kehoe. Or whoops. I can't spell, guys. I'm sorry. English, not very good looking sometimes. JHW. Okay. We'll go to the next page. Now check it out. Instead of direct to, now we've got a Quebec 82 airway. So in very basic terms, what are Quebecs and what are Victors that you'll typically see on your route if you use SimBrief? Well, consider yourself driving down an interstate, right? And you've got various on-ramps and off-ramps to different directions. And those ramps themselves take you to other highways and take you to independent exits, right? It's the same concept in the air. You can't just take off and just have ATC give vectors to every single plane. It would be a nightmare. So that's why you have SIDs, or standard instrument departures. You've got stars for your terminal arrival procedures. You've got precision approaches with their designated waypoints, and that's what they're there for, guys, to give you a specific route and maintain good traffic separation. And it also helps ATC funnel traffic in and out of busy airspaces such as Chicago and Boston. So that's what the Quebec 82 is. And what happens is, when we type that in, which, by the way, you'll put that on the left, you'll see, so via Quebec's 82 airway, we're going to Ponce, whatever that stands for, or however you say that. Now that we've got that set up, we can press execute. And what's going to happen is, between JHW and Ponce, you're going to see a series of waypoints that are assigned or are part of that Quebec 82 airway. So we never had to type it in manually, but because we told the FMS, hey, we want to use that Quebec airway, the FMS already knows. So let's press execute. Let's go to legs, and let's take a look. All these were the ones we typed in manually. And look what happens after JHW. Wayla, View, Tyrot, MEMS, Loxy, and then Ponce. So there are the waypoints that are part of that Quebec 82. So it's very important that you pay attention to your dispatch and your route, especially when you're using services like Beyond ATC or VATSIM, because they are expecting you to have these waypoints already in via that Quebec or Victor airway. And so if you get instructed to go direct to, for example, Loxy, but you only typed in JHW and Ponce, well, yeah, you can always type it in, but now you're going to have to look up how to pronounce that, how to type it in, how it's spelled. So again, guys, make sure you're paying attention to this and take advantage that the CJ4 has a pretty good FMS that allows us to do this. Lastly, we're going to go to departures and arrival. Press that index button here, departure and arrival index. Go to Boston, arrival. We're expecting 15 right, so let's go ahead and load up the ILS 15 right. And we're looking for the Fund 2, JFund 2, via Ponce. Now let's take a quick gander and see what the transitions are at the ILS for 15 right. And here you can see your initial approach trick, which is Adams. So we'll go ahead and use that as our transition. Execute. Let's go to the flight plan, verify that once again. Luke, blah, 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 blah. And you can see there's a discontinuity between the arrival here, or the approach, and the, the arrival and that last waypoint. That's okay. We can always fix that by going to legs, skipping through, and you see that discontinuity. Go ahead and highlight pawns, slap it in those boxes, and execute. And that's it. And you've got your flight plan set up, guys. So let's review that. We know everything is correct. We've got one more thing that we'll need dispatch here for. So let's go ahead and take a look up here at the MFD and verify that the route is loaded. And we can see that magenta line on the secondary MFD there. We can go up here and use this range knob using the outer knob, and you can zoom in or zoom out. And there you go. Right now it's obviously limited because of the distance, but you can see that we've got the route already set up, so the aircraft knows where to go. Now let's set up our performance. So for our performance, we're going to go to performance. We're going to go to performance init. So we're doing it here on the right hand side for the co-pilot. Our cruise altitude today will be flight level 410. Set that in here. Press execute. Then we got to set up our fuel. You can see that the flight plan is calling for 3,600 pounds and we've only got 2,500. And then it's saying we're carrying 9 passengers and 495 pounds of cargo. We'll do 9 passengers in a CJ4 is bananas. Can happen. I just don't know if it's even legal. So let's do 3 packs. And then for cargo, let's go and do it here on the aircraft setting. Press the aircraft tab, go to flight performance, mass and balance. Start with the fuel and send it 2 pounds. Let's see what that gives us. 33.92. What do we need? 36. So let's go back and let's make it 71%. Yeah, let's make it 75. Rather have more fuel. There we go. 3,900 pounds, because we're going to be burning some fuel here while we're talking and doing our fun stuff. Cargo, let's set it to 491. Why not? Now I might not take it. It's usually going to bug out and say unable. Okay. So we'll keep cargo at 0. However, you can just put in here a weight that represents the passengers. So in this case, 3 packs at 170. Let me do some quick maths. MAF. So that's about, 510 pounds. So you can put that as your cargo, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, math is math, right? MAF, maths. And there you go, guys. You have your fuel on board. You've got your 0 fuel weight, gross weight, etc. Now we're going to press takeoff. And we got to pick up our weather information for Midway. So what we can do is we can go here using the pilot side, go to index, data link, weather, request, type in that airport identifier, KMDW, send, go back into that green and the illuminated request. You're going to wait for it to say received, RCVD. Once we get that, there we go. We'll press terminal weather. Hit the line key here. There you go. On the 23rd day at 13:19 Zulu, winds are 320 at 13. So let's go here. 320, 13. Visibility is about half statute mild. Looks like we've got some snow and mist in the vicinity. We've got broken clouds at 1,600 feet, overcast 2,100. Temperature, what is the M? That's minus, so temperature is -4 degrees Celsius. So on the right-hand side, you'll press the plus and minus key, type in 4, and put it on the OAT, or outside air temperature. Then we'll select the altimeter right now, which is 3010. So you'll do 3010. And then for the runway slope, I don't know if it's too simulated here, so I'm just going to put 0. Now we press next. So AI, NIIs. We will be using the NIIs for takeoff. Takeoff flaps will be set to 15, so make sure you cycle here by pressing the corresponding button. And you can see that your weight's already calculated. You've got your takeoff distance here, about 2,100 feet out of 6,500 feet available. And you can see that we've got our V1, rotate, V2, and our target airspeed. We'll press send. You'll see that it says in progress. And now that is complete, boom, look at your airspeed tape here. You've got your V-speeds configured. Very important for that takeoff. So now that we've got all that set up, let's make sure we set up our altimeter here on the PFD. So find your baro knob, which is that big one here. We're going to go up to 3010. And remember that once you do it on one side, the other side will automatically follow. However, you still need to manually set your backup attitude indicator. So we'll set 3010. And there you have it, guys. We are pretty much set up. So now what I'm going to do is, for some fun, I'm going to go ahead and enable Beyond ATC as the snow is covering us. And we're going to use them for the taxi, takeoff, departure, cruise, and maybe we'll use them for the arrival. Maybe not. So give me 1 second and we'll pick back up. Okay, guys, Beyond ATC is up and running. You can see the fleet of Southwest planes just populated in. I love it. Really brings the airport to life. So we need to tune our radios to get our clearance. So we're going to go ahead and type in 124625. How do we do that? Press the tune button. And here, using your keypad, put 124.625. And now you can see that your COM1 is active with 24.625. So let me give him a call. Today we are AirShare 525, which is a real-world operator of private jets. However, not the CJ4, but it's all for fun. Midway delivery, good morning, AirShare 525 with the numbers. Requesting IFR, Boston.
AirShare 525, Midway clearance. Thanks for information. Uniform cleared to Logan Airport. Radar vectors Luke, then as filed. Maintain 5,000. Expect flight level 410, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 128.2. Squawk 4754.
Cleared to the Boston-Logan Airport as filed. Radar vectors Luke. Climb and maintain 5,000. Expect flight level 410, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 128.2, squawking 4754 for AirShare 525.
AirShare 525, read back correct. Contact ground 118.075 when ready for start or taxi.
Well, contact ground 118.075 when ready for engine start and taxi for AirShare 525. See ya. Okay, so we'll go ahead and throw that ground frequency into our active COM1. We've got to put our squawk code of 4754. So right here next to the ATC1, that is your squawk. Type in your squawk, 4754. And then let's go ahead and just put traffic advisory for the TCAS mode here. Let's check the TCAS itself. We'll keep it norm. Altitude tag, put rel, yep. TA traffic on. That's all good. Let's go back to the tune. And then let's give them a call. Let them know that we're ready for engine startup, even though we already did. So don't tell them that. Midway ground. Good morning. AirShare 525 requesting engine startup.
AirShare 525, engine start approved. Call when ready for taxi.
Engine start approved. We'll call when ready for taxi for AirShare 525. All right, guys, so we'll give it a few seconds here, and let's make sure we are fully configured for our takeoff. So let's go ahead and set the flaps now to 15. There's your flap lever. And remember, you've got your flight control indicators here. One thing to note, if your trim, your pitch trim is out of spot here, out of the green area, look at that red illumination. Elevator trim, no takeoff. So make sure you are in the green, guys, all right? So we'll go ahead and set it down, some nose up attitude. You can see your flaps indicator there. Everything is good, guys. So I think we are ready to taxi. Let me go ahead and call them. And let me get my my pencil or my pen here because I'm expecting a interesting taxi route. Midway ground, AirShare 525 requesting taxi for departure.
AirShare 525, runway 22 left taxi via Alpha Whiskey November Romeo. Hold short runway 31 center.
Runway 22 left, Alpha Whiskey November Romeo, hold short 31 center for AirShare 525. Okay, well, they changed our departure runway to 22 left instead of 31 center. Let me check that. I'm pretty sure we had 31 center. Yep, so we'll go to departure. We'll press the runway button there next to 31 center. And then we'll look using the next key for 22 left. And that's it. Execute. Go to legs. Nothing's changed. We're just telling the FMS that now we're departing runway 22 left. So always be ready, guys, to make changes on the fly. No pun intended. And now we got to figure out where the hell we are and how to get there. So stand by. Let me pull up my charts. All right, guys, so we've got the airport diagram here for Midway. We are parked somewhere here on the west ramp at Signature. So the route was Alpha Whiskey. Hold short of 31 center. Then we'll take November. I'm sure we'll be expecting a clearance to cross. However, it looks like this is just a taxiway, so disregard that. November. Then we got to obviously get cleared across 22 right. And then Romeo here, taking us to runway 22 left. So that should be pretty easy. So come straight out, left, and then follow along with the signs. So let's go ahead and turn on our taxi light. There's the taxi light. Let's release that parking brake. Let me re-enable that yoke. And here we go, guys. Let's go ahead and taxi on out. Let's get on the power. Check the brakes. They feel good. So here's Alpha as we're taxiing out of the ramp. Turning left on Whiskey. Let's see if they... There we go.
Cross runway 31 center at Whiskey. Continue taxi via Whiskey November. Hold short runway 31 right. Southwest 537 Midway ground. Pushback approved. Face east.
All right, we're going to hold short here.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face east. Southwest 537.
Airshare 525, cross runway 31 right at November. Continue taxi via Bravo November. Hold short runway 4 left.
All right, crossing runway 31 right at November. Continue taxiing via Bravo November, holding short of 4 left. Airshare 525. Strobes off, landing lights off.
Airshare 525, cross runway 4 left at November. Continue taxi via November 2, November Romeo.
All right, crossing 4 left at November. Continue via November 2 and Romeo for Airshare 525.
Southwest 537 taxi for departure.
All right, here we're coming up on 22 left.
Airshare 525, contact Midway Tower 135.2.
Switching 135.2 for Airshare 525. So long. We'll come up here. We'll hold short.
Southwest 851 at Gate 9er. Request pushback and engine start.
Southwest 851 Midway ground. Pushback and engine start approved. Face northeast.
Okay, and that frequency...
Face northeast, Southwest 851.
135.2, 135.
Southwest 537, cross runway.
All right, we're on tower frequency now, guys. So let me just make sure I've got my departure frequency typed in, which is 128.2. Be good to have it handy so that I can just press the button here next to the COM 1, and we should be good to go once we're handed off. Now that we're here, let's go ahead and set that TCAS mode to RA. Let's go ahead and give tower a call. Let them know that we're ready. And once again, guys, looking at our VREF speeds, we're looking at V1 at 101 knots, rotating at 102. V2, 115 with a target climb rate here, or climb speed of 140. Midway Tower, good morning. Airshare 525, holding short, runway 22 left at Romeo, ready to go.
Airshare 525, Midway Tower, wind 285 at 6, fly heading 230, runway 22 left, cleared for takeoff.
Fly heading 230, runway 22 left, cleared for takeoff for airshare 525. Setting the heading here. Landing lights coming on, strobes coming on, and the pulsating lights coming on for good visibility. It's going to be a fun climb out here through the clouds. But you'll see, guys, the CJ4 is a rocket.
Midway Tower, southwest 4445, visual runway tree 1 center.
Visual? Okay.
Southwest 4445, Midway Tower. Wind 285 at 6. Runway 31 center cleared to land.
Runway tree 1 center cleared to land, southwest 4445.
All right, here we go, guys. Let's set that takeoff power. Power set. Oh yeah, a little bit gusty here. Whoa, 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 wow. All right, let's get up in the air. I don't know if you guys saw that. My airplane just started skidding off towards the right there. Wow. That was wild. That was wild. All right. This is a little funky. Let's go ahead and turn towards 230. Just perfect here for a tutorial. Oh, wow. Never fails, guys. All right, there we go.
Airshare 525, contact Chicago departure. Have a good flight.
Switching to departure for Airshare 525. See ya. All right, let's go ahead and drop that number from the sketch pad. There we go. Chicago departure. Airshare 525 climbing 2,900 for 5,000.
Airshare 525, Chicago departure. Good day. Radar contact. Climb, maintain flight level 190.
Climb and maintain flight level 190 for Airshare 525.
Airshare 525, turn left, heading 090.
Left heading 090 for Airshare 525. We're still hand flying, by the way, guys. Just trying to make it more interesting here. Watching my speed. Remember, we don't want to go above 250 knots below 10,000 feet. Let's set that heading bug to 090. Okay, now that we're climbing nice and easy, we'll go ahead and enable yaw damper. Here comes the fun part. The autopilot likes to pitch down, but we'll fix it. Autopilot, let's go ahead and enable flight level change. Let's go ahead and enable heading mode. And you know what? Let's go ahead and do, let's do VNAV on. Let's see if it responds to my throttle input here to climb. There we go. Much better. You can see this thing wants to climb 3,700 feet a minute climb rate there.
Airshare 525, turn left, heading 055.
Left heading 055, Airshare 525.
Chicago departure, southwest 851, 1,700 feet.
All right, so we're turning. We're above 10,000. Let's go ahead and turn off the taxi and landing lights.
Radar contact, climb and maintain 16,000, altimeter 3032.
Climb and maintain 16,000, altimeter 3032, southwest 851.
And you can see that they're kind of vectoring us towards Luke somewhat. Let me go ahead and increase that PFD brightness. And you can see that in flight level change, we're still holding 241 knots with a good, healthy climb rate of 2,400 feet a minute. Let's hope that ATC gives us the direct 2. And look at that. We're above the weather, guys. Beautiful, beautiful.
Airshare 525, cleared direct Luca. Resume on navigation.
Clear direct Luca. Resume on nav for Airshare 525. Okay, guys. So you'll press the DIR or direct button.
Chicago departure,
press that waypoint,
1,100
execute,
feet.
and enable nav mode.
Southwest
and there we go.
537, Chicago departure, radar contact, climb, maintain 1 tree, 13,000, altimeter 3032.
Climb, maintain 13,000, altimeter 3032, Southwest 537.
There we have it, guys. LNAV is now engaged. The aircraft will now follow that route. We told it to go direct to Luca and then proceed as filed.
Air 525, contact Chicago Center 132.5. Take care.
132.5 for Air Share 525. See you. 132.5. Let's give him a call. Chicago Center, good morning. Air Share 525, climbing 16,800 feet for flight level 190.
Air Share 525, Chicago Center, climb and maintain flight level 410.
Climb and maintain flight level 410, Air Share 525. And just like that, guys, we are about to cross our transition altitude of 18,000 feet, flight level 180. So let's pay attention.
525, contact Chicago Center 127.8.
127.8 for Air Share 525. See ya. Making me work. All right, transition level. We'll go ahead and right click on that barrel knob and it resets to standard or 2992. And here we'll have to just manually set it 2992. Let me check in. Chicago Center, good morning. Air Share 525, climbing flight level 185 for 410.
Air Share 525, Chicago Center.
And that's it, guys. We are on our way up to 41,000 feet. Looks like we've got a good tailwind. That makes me happy. 34 knots right now, straight through our tailpipe. Never hurts us, man. We're going to save some gas on this flight. And once we get to our cruise altitude, I will be running you guys through some more menus and windows that you guys will like to get familiar with here on the FMCs, as well as taking a closer look at data on your MFD that corresponds to your flight plan. So we'll see you guys in just a few minutes as we climb up to 41,000 feet.
Endeavor 4914. Contact Chicago Center 125.1.
Okay, guys, so we are about to level off here at 41,000 feet. And one thing I did not cover while we were climbing was power setting. So if you look down here on your throttle quadrant, you can see that you've got detents for your throttle. You've got TL for takeoff, CLB for climb, and CRU for cruise. So those are pretty straightforward. So what I was doing was, after I enabled flight level change and we hit that target airspeed of 241 knots, I brought the power lever back to climb and kept it there, just monitoring my airspeed. Remember, we don't have an auto throttle on this airplane, so it's not like we can just engage the auto throttle and tell it, hey, maintain the speed. So that's one key important detail there. And now as we level off at 41,000 feet, we're going to wait to reach our target airspeed, which is 300 knots, or I believe Mach 0.7, something like that. And let's see what this warning is about. Oh, cabin altitude. Okay, so yeah, CAS is letting me know the cabin altitude is not set. However, we were showing a cabin altitude of 9,800 feet. I saw the rate increasing as we were climbing, so don't know what's going on there. As far as I understood, this is completely autonomous in this plane. I don't think it's simulated, but we'll ignore that for now. And then let's look at a few things here. So let's go to performance, VNAV setup, and you can see that we've got those target airspeeds here. So for the climb, it was saying to target 240 knots. And then for our cruise, we are looking for 300 knots or Mach 0.74. We take a look here at the PFD and we look at our airspeed tape. We can see we're still increasing speed. We've got a beautiful tailwind of 61 knots. So we're going to wait to get to Mach 0.74, and then we're going to retard those throttle levers to get them into the cruise range. Remember, we want to maximize the efficiency that we can enjoy here, especially with tailwind conditions. So just letting the airspeed build up. While we get there, let's look at some few key things that you can use for your flight. So right here for your PFD, you've got multiple options that are actually simulated, and I'm happy they did. So first, you can go to the PFD menu here. You can see that it opens up a menu and it gives you different formats. So you've got a rose, an arc, and a present position. you've got controls that let you select your nav source. In this case, we are in the FMS 1, and your range, which is displayed by increasing the range here or decreasing it with that smaller knob. Then with that middle knob, you can go ahead and scroll. So using the outer, bigger, or I should say inner, in this case, the bigger one, you can scroll through the menu. So one thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is then once you want to get into that menu, you'll right click on the push select. And here, for example, we can change our altimeter between inches and HPA. So obviously we're in the United States, so we're going to use the inches of mercury. You can change your flight director to the V-bar if you so prefer. My instance, I prefer the cross pattern there, the two crosshairs. You can also switch to metric altitude, your flight level alert, which will give you an audible alert when you're within 1,000 feet of getting to your target altitude, and your angle of attack display, which we set it as automatic. So that's a pretty good feature. There we are, Mach 0.74. Bringing back the power to be in that cruise detent. And then we'll just adjust power as necessary to try to stay on that speed. Okay, so now that we're cruising, again, let's go through some other options. You can go to format, and you can see your horizontal situation changes. You can have the actual HSI with your course index here digitally shown. You can show your line here via the FMS nav data, so it's showing that you are on course. And then you can just have the general map with your VORs and nav aids and all that kind of stuff. Now you can also go here and hit your terrain or weather radar. And you can see that it's changing on the PFD there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I'm not too worried about weather or terrain so far. Slow down the power just a bit. There we go. Just shy of 98 and 1. So there's that, guys. Let's go and cover some other things that we can explore on the FMCs. And remember that you can always do this independently. If you want to keep one with your legs to monitor your nav, you can keep that one there. So let's go to the co-pilot side and look at our performance. You've got a lot of options here. You can see that they're white and illuminated, showing you that they are indeed simulated. How accurate are they to the real world thing? I'm not sure. You'll have to ask a real CJ4 pilot. Let's go look at fuel management. So right now we're on page 1 out of 3. It's showing you your current fuel, 3,320 pounds, your fuel flow, your reserves, which I set to 500, which is pretty low, but I like to play it safe just in case we have to execute a missed approach or encounter a holding pattern. You can see we're doing 495 knots across the ground. That is amazing. Doing almost 500 knots. You can see an estimated time to reserve. So we've got about an hour and 52 minutes before we hit that reserve with the current power setting. And then you've got a range to the reserve. So 925 nautical miles. Now, the initial flight plan, if we go here, see the distance was 747. So we've got plenty of gas to make it there and some for our reserves. And I believe this last item here, SP range, ground speed, I believe it's showing you just your fuel efficiency. It's about 0.37 nautical miles per pound with the current fuel flow. Let's press next. You can see your fuel flow here between engine 1 and 2 and your total burn rate pounds per hour, as well as how many pounds you're burning and used. So this is good to keep track of your fuel. And lastly, we come down here to the last page, showing you your origin, your arrival, your distance from each airport to the next, ground speed, which is live, your estimated time en route, which is from the departure to the arrival. So you'll see that it's at 1 hour and 30. However, we're already airborne and cruising along just fine. So how do we update this? PPOS, that is your present position. So look what happens when we press that. Now it's showing that we've got about 1 hour and 10 minutes before we get to Boston. So if you're kind of wondering how much more time you've got left on your flight and you can't really tell because the range is out of range or whatever other issue you're having, go to that performance page, find your fuel management, press the next till you get to page 3 out of 3, and press your PPOS for present position. And it's going to show you your fuel required to get there. So if we go back, We've got 3,200 pounds of fuel, and we've got 1561 that is required to get there. Let's go back to performance. You can go to flight log, and again, it'll show you some crucial things here. Takeoff was at 13:45. En route, we've been en route here for 27 minutes. You've burned up 1,000 pounds so far, 1,035. Air distance, we've covered 162.6 nautical miles, or 184 miles across the ground. And this will show you your average true airspeed and ground speed, respectively. Lastly, once we get wheels down, we will see a value spit here, showing you your actual landing time. Lastly, we'll go here to the performance menu once again, and press approach. Now here is a very good page to use for your performance on the arrival, just like we set up for the takeoff. Once we get closer to Boston, we'll go ahead and use that data link like we did earlier here. Data link, weather, and we'll request the airport, the ATIS information for Boston, get our weather, throw it in here, and as we go through these pages, you can see we've got similar setup for our landing. You've got your anti-ice, landing weight, your landing distance, and the available runway length, 10,081 in this case for runway 15 right. And I believe the landing factor, don't quote me on this, I believe corresponds to where you touch down. So the greater number you use, the greater the number you'll see here besides the runway length. Because if you land further in, let's say 5,000 feet, well, now you've used up half the runway. So keep that in mind. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's what it stands for. Lastly, it'll show your landing weight versus your maximum landing weight. So remember, aircraft have a maximum landing weight. So there's no way we're going to get there above that maximum landing weight because we're burning fuel. But if you've got unlimited fuel on, well then keep an eye out on your weights and make sure you're within the limits. So these are some pretty crucial things to consider when you're here on the FMC. Another one that I want to point out, you can always go here and press MFD data. And you can see that whatever we had set up here, especially for our takeoff, you'll see it on the MFD. And you can see your V speeds there, runway information, wind, and all the stuff that we set up. So I like to keep it down here on the FMC. I like my MFDs to show my navigation and all other important information. So to go back to the map, you can just press MFD data, and there you have it. So now that we talked about that, let's focus on the map here. A lot of you guys always ask me about how to get your top of descent. Well, as you can see here, we simply loaded our flight plan, our routes, we set our cruise altitude, we already had our V speeds or VNAV targets, and look what happened. The onboard flight management system or flight management computer already calculated a top of descent for us. So right here, we're 54 minutes away, or about 439 nautical miles away, and you can see your next waypoints. Nels is the waypoint you just departed, so this is outbound from Nels. We're 4.5, 4.6, and we're inbound Kehoe, about 67.9 nautical miles or 9 minutes. And remember, this is always calculated, the time, based on your current speed. So if all of a sudden the wind changes, well, you're going to see that time increase. Lastly, here's another way to identify how much more you've got before you get to your arrival. In this case, Boston, 555 or 6 nautical miles, or just over an hour to go. So it's pretty awesome, guys. I love, again, that Asobo went and modeled pretty much everything that we need for some good flights. So make sure you pay attention to those values, know where to find them, and if you got to go backwards in this video and find a part, guys, feel free to do so. All right, that's why we do these tutorials. And as we have the chemtrails enabled here at flight level 410, I want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you like and comment below if you haven't done so already, and make sure that notification bell is enabled, guys. We're dropping content weekly here, and we're trying to keep up the volume so that you guys can learn as much as you can along with us. So make sure to show some love, hit that subscribe button, and we'll continue on with this flight as we make our way down to Boston. Just another pointer here, guys, for you guys. If you look up at your MFD, like we have here on the left, and you don't see your VNAV or your navigation info, well, I'll help you figure it out. So remember, left FMC controls your left MFD, your right controls the right. So let's go to the left right now because it's blank. So I don't see my nav info. So let's go here to our display menu button. Down here on the bottom left, you see you have a window and it's off right now. Let's see what happens if we put it on. Ah, there we go. Now we've got our navigation info, estimated time on route until we get there, local time or the simulator time when we will be getting there, as well as your estimated fuel on board by the time we touch down, and a gross weight of about 12.4 thousand pounds. If you want that VNAV information like I have set up on the right hand side, you just come back down, press VNAV or press that button, and there you go. But I don't want to have a redundant display, right? I want to have as much information as I can across both MFDs. So I'm just going to keep it on, and that will enable me to get a good idea of how much gas I'm going to have, so I don't have to go down here and open up my performance page. Also, you can see here that the left side is selected, highlighted green. So if you do switch that to the R by pressing the line key here, then now you'll be controlling the right side. I highly suggest though that you keep it with its respective side, left, left, right, right. You can see here as well, you can enable airports, altitude and speed. However, they do not seem to be modeled right now. Airports are, okay, that's good. There's Cleveland. Altitude, don't see any info there. But we've got a primary flight display, so I'm not too concerned with that. And you can see we've got high and low nav aids. Remember that you've got your high IFR and your low IFR routes. In this case, we are in the high, but I'm going to keep both on because we never know what ATC could instruct us to do, and it might change our flight procedure. On the second page, you can pick up your missed approach display on the map, your NDBs, which are non-directional beacons. Those are old school navigation aids that we really don't use anymore, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then your range, altitude select, I'd keep it off. Not too familiar with that. But again, guys, just trying to show you all the information that you have available out the box with this default CJ4. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this to legs. I'm going to keep it here for the meantime. I'm going to go through my legs and verify our altitude constraints so you can see PONST or PONCT, however you say that, is our transition for that arrival. And I want to look at and make sure that we have altitude constraints and speed constraints if there are any. So seats, we have to cross at 280 knots at or above flight level 210, doubly at or above 17,000, and so on. And then you can see here we've got our approach on the bottom. Lastly, you can see your missed approach after runway 15 ride. If that happens, it's got your procedure here, and remember that you can always look at your instrument approach plate, or your IAP, on your charts, and verify that they are concurring so that you don't have any faulty information. All right, guys, enough chatter. See you on the top of the descent. All right, guys, so we are approximately 35 minutes away from Boston. I think it's a good time to set up for our approach. Let's go ahead and look at our MFDs here. And once again, using the index, data link, weather. Let me turn off the tooltips. There we go. Those tooltips kind of get in the way. Request. We'll type in Boston, so KBOS. And then we'll hit send. Go back into request. Wait for that green received. There's Boston. We'll go to terminal weather. Go to Boston received. And there you have it. You can see your weather info for Boston right now. Winds 240 at 6. We're in the approach ref. Remember performance, approach. Let's go ahead and start setting that up. 240 at 6. Outside air temperature right now, we're showing -7 degrees. So we'll type in -7. QNH, which is your altimeter setting, 3035. And once again, runway slope, we'll put 0% there. We'll press next. Anti-ice, we'll be expecting it right now because the temperature is a bit chilly down there. And then you can see right here now our values have updated. Remember how we looked at it earlier and we didn't have any number here next to the runway length? Now we're showing an estimated landing distance of 2,500 feet. That's if we had a good target. Then we're going to look at our VREF and VAP. So what is the difference between these two? Well, your VREF is your reference speed for landing, 99 knots. Your VAP is your approach reference speed of 105. Now, typically, you'll always see your VAP is slightly higher in speed than your ref. That is because, remember, you are landing gear down, flaps are down, you're in the dirty config, and so that's when we start flirting with that potential stall in a dirty config, and it's a bad day. So, long story short, we're going to approach at 105 knots and look to touch down at 99 knots. So there you have it. Press send. Complete. That lets us know that the PFDs now have the reference speeds loaded, and I'll show you how to open those up in a second. Let's go to the next page. You can see your landing weight is calculated again, 13,058, but that will start updating as we get near. And there you have it, guys. We've set up our approach. And let me go ahead and cover one other area that we'll need here very soon. We're going to pull up our instrument approach plate here. We'll go to approaches. We're expecting 15 right. We'll open that up. And let's go ahead and brief that approach plate. So we're looking at a nav frequency here for the localizer of 110.7. There's your localizer identifier, IMDC, channel 44, and a final approach course of 149 degrees. Then looking at, we've got a runway length here of 9,200 feet, touchdown zone elevation of 17 feet, and airport elevation of 19 feet. And always, guys, triple check that approach plate. Make sure you are looking at the correct one so you're not confused. Here is your missed approach procedure. So we'll climb to 3,000 feet on Boston VOR DME radio 154 to CELTS, intersection at 11.7 DME, and hold. And then here's a view of that track inbound to 15 right. You can see your vertical, your vertical path here coming down. So we are going to come in at Swig, make sure we're at or above 4,000, and then Maldi, where we capture that glide path or glide slope at or above 1,700. Then for our minimums, we're looking for ILS 15 right. Our minimums will be at 267 feet or 250 on the radar altimeter. And then you see your distance here, about 2,400 feet or about half a mile of visibility. And right here, you get a quick brief description of your missed approach. So climbing 3,000 on the Boston radio 154 to CELT and hold at 11.7 DME, I believe. Yep. So there we have it, guys. We've briefed that. So let's go ahead and throw that frequency into our nav radio. So we'll go here to tune, and then we'll set nav 1 to 110.7. There we go. And let's go ahead and set it for our nav 2 as well. There we have it. So the nav radio is set. And then we'll set the approach course here in just a few minutes, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And actually, we're here. Let's check out another menu here on our MFD, or not our MFD, our PFD. So we'll go to PFD menu using that bigger outside wheel or inside wheel. You'll go to refs, right click on it. There's your speeds for your VREF and your VAP. So VAP 105, VREF 99, and you'll see them on your airspeed tape here as you decrease speed. For your minimums, we're going to go with the radar altimeter, so RA. And then here, using the smaller wheel, you can set that value. Now looking at our approach plate, remember that our radar altimeter setting was 250 or 267 on the barrel. So we'll go ahead and set that 250. There we go. And now we've got our minimum set for our approach. And you can see our destination elevation via the FMS data is 11 feet. So you've got everything configured for your approach. Now I'm going to go ahead and re-enable Beyond ATC because I took it off during the cruise. They didn't want to get bothered or nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and get back online with them. And then we'll be getting near our top of descent. As you can see right here, it is shortly after Ponst. So they changed our approach on us, so we'll have to go back into departure arrival, and instead of 15 right, we're expecting 33 left. So now let's go ahead and pull up that chart. Let's take a look. 33 left, ILS right here. And we can see now that we have to reset a few things. So looks like our initial approach fix is Ben. So we'll go ahead and press Ben. Execute. So let's check our legs. Yep, we're still on track. J-Fund, Harris, all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and set Ben in this route discontinuity. Close that gap. Now let's go back to tune to set our new localizer frequency. And look at that. Wouldn't you know it? It's the same runway, just the opposite end. 15 right and 33 left. Same exact runway, just one direction versus the other. In this case, we can keep the nav frequencies the same. However, our approach course will be 330. So we'll have to set that up before we touch down. Looking at our minimums here, ILS 33 left, 216 with 1800 feet visibility, or 200 on the radar altimeter, and about half a statute mile visibility. So let's go ahead and reset that minimums. So let's go PFD menu, revs, right click. We're already there, and let's set that down to 200. And there we go. Now we can press escape. Escape again, and now we're back on our regular map here. And in this case, let's look at the new missed approach procedure. We'll climb 1500, then climbing right turn to 3000 on the Boston VOR DME radial 030 to Waxen at 14 DME and hold. So pretty straightforward. However, I don't anticipate a missed approach, but traffic gonna get in the way, and so we have to be ready for that. Okay guys, so we are just a few minutes shy off our top of descent. We're about 2 minutes. However, ATC just told us to descend to 5,000 feet. So let's go ahead and reset that altitude using the altitude knob. Get up to 5,000. There we go. But you can see on top of our altitude and vertical speed indicator here, you can see we've got a 24,000 magenta. Why is that? Well, if we look at our FMC, let's go to legs. We can see that we have some altitude constraints. So while we are in VNAV mode, you can reset your altitude. However, the aircraft will descend and abide by those altitude and airspeed restrictions depending on your route or your arrival. So right now, we'll continue. We'll begin descending here shortly. We're just about a minute away anyway, so I don't think ATC is going to care too much. And there we go. You can see that magenta star. You can see the circle here on your vertical speed. This is showing here that pretty soon here, the VNAV path will activate and we'll begin that descent towards 5,000 feet. So let's just stand by and we'll pick back up once we're descending. All right, here we go. That star and diamond is approaching. You can see the top of descent is flashing. And there we go. The autopilot is doing exactly what it needs to. So let's go ahead and reduce power. Watch our speed. We don't want to overspeed here on the way down. We're doing Mach 7.5. Remember, our target descent speed was about 240 knots. However, at this altitude, obviously 240 is overspeeding.
525, contact Boston Center 132.65.
132.65, Airshare 525. See ya. 132.
Boston Center on 132.65.
132.65 for Airshare 525. Yeah, that's what I said. I thought. Boston Center, good morning. Airshare 525, descending via the J-Fund 2 arrival. Flight level 388.
Airshare 525, Boston Center.
All right, so we let them know we're descending. They know that we were instructed to descend to 5,000 whilst maintaining and observing those altitude constraints on the arrival. And just like your instrument approach place guides, you can go to your airport charts here on the little map button. Go to arrivals, J-Fund 2, and you can see that we are on the way to Stoli, and then Monsta, which is at or above flight level 240, and so on. But I'm okay without it right now. I just want to have my approach plate set up, which was 33 left. There she is. And we'll keep it here for when we need to set that approach course. By the way, guys, as we're descending, just a quick amendment to a previous thing I showed you. If you want to go to your reference menu, you can just press refs right here. And look at that. It pulls up your speeds right there, so you don't have to go through the PFD menu and look at your individual parts here and set it up. So this is a handy key to have if you want to go and adjust your minimums and check your VAP and your reference speed. Alrighty, and well, we don't have an actual descent or before landing checklist or anything like that. However, I'm just going to do one from mental notes. First things first, so we've briefed our approach. We've got approach, which is runway 33 left. This will be via the JFUN 2 arrival. QNH for altimeter is set. We're expecting altimeter 3004. And for our approach, we'll be setting up for full flaps at 35 degrees, gear down, keep the speed brakes up, and we'll adjust to maintain that VAP speed of 104 knots. So that is our approach and our before landing checklist. Don't know what the real descent checklist is. However, I can tell you at least that the cabin pressurization system is automatic here. And as we're descending through 25,000 feet right now, you'll notice that the cabin pressure and altitude will automatically adjust. So that's about as much as I can think about right now on this descent. And don't forget, once you cross underneath 18,000 feet, reset your altimeter from standard to the current altimeter you are expecting. Here we are, guys. We are entering a left downwind, or right downwind, I should say, for runway 33 left. We're following along here as directed by ATC, following our star, and then setting ourselves up for the approach to runway 33 left. We're at 7,000, just crossed Spiced. We're inbound Brody. You can see VNAV still following along perfectly fine, descending at its calculated rate, whilst maintaining and abiding by those altitude constraints. So we'll see you guys as we begin to set up for that approach with that right turn for runway 33 left. And as we approach back or beach, you can see that we have a speed constraint there of 220 knots. Then Cedu at 210, all at 5,000 feet. So we'll use the throttles here, reduce them.
United 641, leave Goshi heading 020, expect radar vectors for visual approach, runway 4 right.
You can see the winds changing a little bit.
Expect radar vectors for visual approach, runway 4 right, United 641.
And we'll hold here at 220 knots and wait for the instruction to turn and probably intercept that localizer for 33 left.
Airshare 525, leave Sidhu heading 170, expect radar vectors for visual approach, runway 33 left.
Leave Sidhu heading 170, expect vectors for the ILS 33 left. Airshare 525. 170, that's right.
Airshare 525, turn right heading 165, vectors for the approach.
Right heading 165, vectors for the approach. Airshare 525. There we go, guys. We're now in heading mode. We're no longer following that LNAV track. We're just going to follow instructions and hopefully Beyond ATC sets us up for a good approach. We're at 210 knots. Pretty good airspeed right now for this approach. Don't forget your reference speeds. Looking for a approach speed of 105 knots with a reference speed for touchdown at 99. And we've got our minimums loaded here. 200 feet radar altimeter.
Airshare 525, turn right, heading 260, intercept the 33 left localizer, descend and maintain 3,900 feet, altimeter 3005.
Right heading 260, descend and maintain 3,900, intercept the localizer 33 left, altimeter 3005, Airshare 525. All right, let's set that altitude down to 2,900.
Descend and maintain 3,900 feet.
3,900. 3,900 for Airshare 525. 260. $3,900. Let's go ahead and press flight level change. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to press the nav button. And you can see we've got our localizer frequency and our course set to 330. We'll go ahead and activate approach mode. You know what? Let's go into vertical speed here. Start descending a little bit more.
Altitude.
United 641, contact Boston Tower 128.8.
Contact Tower 128.8, United 641.
There we go. Approach mode is now going to follow that localizer. Let's bring the power back down. You can see that diamond there showing our glide path.
525 airport is at your 2 o'clock, 16 miles. Report the field in sight.
We've got the field in sight for Airshare 525.
Airshare 525, cleared visual approach runway 33 left.
Cleared visual 33 left for Airshare 525. Beautiful. All right, so the autopilot is doing what it has to do, guys. We are tracking along. You can see we're correcting back onto that localizer. You've got your localizer identifier there, your frequency set, because we set them up on our nav radios beforehand. We're slowing her down. .185, 184. We're slowly bringing her down. I'm going to wait till about 155 knots, and then we'll go flaps 15. All right, so we're not bleeding off that airspeed. Let's go ahead and get those speed brakes open. Let's extend them. It's going to definitely induce more drag here.
Airshare 525, contact Boston Tower 128.8.
Tower 128.8, Airshare 525, see you. 128.8 is up on the frequency. Let's call them up. Boston Tower, good morning. Airshare 525, visual 33 left. Let's go gear down.
Airshare 525, Boston Tower, continue.
Wilco, Airshare 525. We're slowing down. 130 something there. Just letting the autopilot do the flight here as we continue on the visual using the ILS.
United 3933 Heavy, contact Boston.
Let's go flaps full down to 35 degrees. And remember, we're aiming for that approach speed of 105.
Have a good one.
And there you have it. Look at your airspeed tape. You can see your approach speed. There's 105, so we'll try to maintain that speed using our throttle. And RF for our VREF of 99 knots. And as always, guys, we'll let the ILS, or the autopilot, continue down on this ILS as we monitor the speed and altitude, maintaining a proper glide path. And then we'll disconnect the autopilot and hand fly it in. And before landing checklist, let's just do a quick mental one. Landing gear down and locked, 3 green, flaps full, speed brakes are retracted, landing lights are on. Before landing checklist is complete. You can see we're crabbing here, guys. We've got a crosswind component there of 22 knots. It's gonna be fun. Remember, with crosswinds, we're gonna go ahead and yaw right with the rudder pedal. Get that nose right, and then left aileron to bring the left wing down. Don't want to have a repeat of our takeoff. After I reviewed that video, I was like, yep, I wasn't doing any crosswind correction with my aileron, which is why the wind picked us up.
Airshare 525, wind 285 at 9er, runway 33 left, cleared to land.
Cleared to land, 33 left, Airshare 525. We've got our landing clearance. We're all set, guys.
121.9er, take care.
A little bit more power here.
121.9er, United 641, see you.
Remember, guys, keep an eye on that airspeed and use your throttles to maintain that proper approach speed. And this will be my second landing ever on the CJ4, so get ready for some good laughs, or maybe not. Maybe bring out the toast for that butter that I might produce. All right, enough of the dad jokes. Let's bring it home, guys. Okay, autopilot coming off now. My controls. Flight director coming off. We're going to hand fly this puppy in. It's a beautiful day. There's no reason to let the autopilot do all the work. As long as those winds stay pretty constant there, I'll be happy. But right now, they've dropped down to about 6 knots from 22 knots or 27. So they might pick back up as we're getting ready to touch down. Too white, too red, we ain't dead, as Captain Flacco likes to say. A little bit fast here, so let's go ahead and start aiming for that 99 knots VREV speed. Let's reduce power, maintain that pitch. There's our minimums, continue. There's 99, 100, give it some power. Wow, departing runway there. Awesome. There we go. Not too shabby. Speed brakes out. Reset that trim because the nose wants to come up. And now we just roll, guys. Welcome to Boston. Let's see what taxiway they tell us to vacate.
Airshare 525, exit left at Zulu.
We'll take left exit Zulu for Airshare 525. Alright, so we just pretty much used up the entire runway here, Zulu. Let's go ahead and exit left. This scenery by Fly Tampa, one of the OG scenery developers for Flight Sim, and they've done an amazing job here. We'll cross the runway hold short lines here. Come to a stop.
Airshare 525, contact ground 121.9er.
Switching to ground 121.9er for Airshare 525. So long.
JetBlue 2187, cross runway 27 at Charlie. Continue taxi via Charlie.
Turn off our strobe and our landing light. Keep the taxi light on.
Charlie. JetBlue 2187.
Boston ground, good morning. Airshare 525, clear 33 left, Zulu, requesting taxi to any parking available.
Airshare 525, welcome to Logan. Say parking or advise if need assignment.
We'll take any parking available for Airshare 525.
Airshare 525, ramp 29er taxi via Zulu Bravo.
Ramp 29er Zulu Bravo for Airshare 525.
JetBlue 2187, contact Boston Tower 128.8. Contact Tower 128.8, JetBlue.
All right, we'll taxi on into the ramp here. We're going to signature, and then we'll pick back up as we're parking and setting up for our shutdown.
Left at Foxtrot, continue taxi via Fox.
And here we are taxiing into the signature ramp at Boston-Logan International. Don't see a marshaller and don't really see any parking spots, so we'll improvise here. So after landing checklist, flaps are up, landing lights are off, strobes off. We'll go ahead and turn off our anti-ice as we're taxiing in here. I'd say that's a pretty decent after landing checklist. Let's find a spot here somewhere on the ramp. I see a AFGAS fuel truck over there, but we're going to be super VIP and needy and just take up our own parking spot. Remember, guys, our simulator, our airplane, we do whatever we want. You paid for it. You paid for the scenery. You use up all the scenery. You don't follow rules here. And there we go. First class service for our passengers. So let's go ahead, set our parking brake, pull that knob. Let's go ahead and kill our engines. So you just open these flip switches again, put them to stop. Let's go ahead and turn off the passenger safety and seatbelt signs. Let's kill all the lights. We can set TCAS to standby. Let's go over here to the electrical panel. Let's hide the yoke. We can go ahead and turn off avionics. Standby flight display off. Turn off the emergency lights. Generators to off. And lastly, turn off that battery. And voila. We completed the flight, guys. We are down here in Boston-Logan. Let's see if this thing doesn't lag out. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. There was one comment that I saw in one of our videos recently that said, hey guys, I'm waiting for a CJ4 tutorial, and you know what? It's long overdue. One of the more common private jets that people use in the simulator. And again, take advantage, guys. It is pretty good modeling on it. It's got a lot of good systems that will help you get from point A to point B with very good quality, and so far so good. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I know this could be a little bit of a longer video, and remember that the flickering you're seeing is something going on with the flight sim in general and the CJ4 specifically. So don't know how to fix it. Hopefully they do, because it's rather annoying. Anyways, guys, let us know. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and comment. Enable that notification bell so that you stay up to date with our tutorials, and you guys can always expect to see more content from us with the CJ4 as well as the other aircraft we've already tackled. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to say much more than this. Let us know. We'll see you on the next one. This is Captain Gonzo with that Flight Sim channel. Wishing you guys all smooth landings and happy flying.